Yeah, definitely. In that perspective, it's very hard to do not. But again, in the opposite side, like the financial side, everyone, and for example, we all need to be like. Um it seems like we need to run some awareness campaigns online, and we use social media for that. We use the TV, we use the Facebook, we use the Instagram. At least we made some posts like the scammer alerts. So definitely these everyone in have their account, social media account. So even there is not the in IT field, you know, same I quoted yesterday. For example, if we need to be a businessman who like using the financial system, our ERP solution, and we said to him, okay, this is the cost of the ERP solution, and ERP solutions have the 14, 16 modules, and that's accounting, your HR, your everything. So there is not all involved in the technical stuff. But we said to them before giving up, there is that threads. If you want, we present the owner of the company. We said it's the thread. So you need to train, you need to, once the payment, if you are investing to buy the solution and digitalize your solution. And then the second part you need to invest is the training, and the third is you need to secure your data if you want to compete in the market. So you know, all big companies, there are multiple examples. They have bigger security systems. So their security system, even in Facebook, even like Google, they now start putting too much permissions. Before, in when we are as a developer, I am working on the Android system in 2001 and 2005 area. Then the Android phone is just come, and they have the open source. You can read the message, you can read anything from the app, and you can run the any application within background. So even you can expect the call recording, everything from the phone. But they learn from the technology, they learn from the even when the government involved in that part. So definitely Google need to do and implement all this stuff, and even now before two-factor authentication, the Google Android phone auto read your message, and so now they need your permission. If they need to read the message, if you allow, then it will read that. So this kind of stuff we definitely in the business intelligence data, in the small business or big businesses, we need to train them. If you not put money, for example, normally what we suggest to client, we said, okay, you have the budget like $20 billion or whatever the budget you are spending on your development sector, at least you need to be put half of that budget for your data security, because if you want to compete in the market, if your data leak or compromise with your competitor, your all investment will be lost. Thank you.
As final question, as experts, have you been attacked before? Have you been attacked before?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Yeah, it's ongoing. It's ongoing. Even I am running my own product in the UK market last from 2014. That's same like the booking system, where we book the you book the hotel booking.com. Everyone aware about that. Same like we have one product in the UK market. If you want to travel, you park your car on the airport, and we have the website where we have the different car parking areas. We provide them the bookings and we charge commission on that. So definitely we, on that perspective I talk, it's one case study of myself. Even we attack on the regular basis for preventions, we are investing money. Otherwise, like if I not invest money, that the data is a 1 million user data. If compromised, I can be sued by the UK government, and government involved in that part. Definitely, when I am talking about yesterday also, cyber crimes will be happen anytime. But you government need to be making rules. So we definitely external. You have the external threat and internal threat. So you have the threat from your competitor who investing money to attack on your website, to extracting the data to use your customer. So we are aware of, and definitely our best part is we know these things and we are implement our products that one. And definitely sometimes some attacks are new. Like last 6 months ago, we are using some servers in different data centers. So there is a cyber attack on their servers. So that affected a lot us. But as expertise and our knowledge, within 2 days we recover everything and we not lose too much things. So that can be happen. It's not 100% you can say, but definitely you need to be compliant. And even we are using the Stripe from last 10 years for the as a digital payment gateway. So we are our all websites are PCI compliance with DSS, so that we can using the payment gateway on the success rate. So you need to be do whatever you can do for your security. That's more important. If you just think your product is running and you earning money, one day where is the Nokia nowadays? Nokia is finished. So that's you need to be move with the market. Samsung take the market of Nokia. Before there is a phone everywhere Nokia phone is using. So now Samsung they have that market. So that's the thing you need to move with the technology.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, very much for sharing your insight with us. We appreciate your time and expertise.
Juste avant de poser la petite question, je ne sais pas si on est au planning ou pas, alors, j'ai fait un petit tour en me posant la question en utilisant une IA, un outil de l'IA, pour connaître un petit peu quelles sont les menaces sur la société marocaine, les menaces numériques sur la société marocaine. Alors, ce qui sort en premier, c'est les cyberattaques, les hyperattaques des comptes. Les ransomware, les attaques contre les institutions publiques, et en deuxième lieu, les fraudes en ligne, les arnaques financières, le phishing, l'escroquerie sur les réseaux sociaux et les sites de commerce. Ça, c'est en deuxième lieu au Maroc. Et en troisième lieu, la désinformation, les fake news. Et ça, on constate beaucoup, même dans l'éducation, on voit des YouTube qui racontent n'importe quoi, même dans un domaine de science. Alors, j'ai vu ça, des YouTube qui déforment complètement l'information. Et également l'atteinte à la vie privée, c'est-à-dire que la collecte et l'utilisation abusive des données personnelles. Et donc, quand on visite, consulter un peu le CNDP, le site du CNDP, il y a énormément de plaintes sur ces données-là, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de citoyens, parce qu'on a le droit de porter plainte auprès du CNDP si on constate que ces données personnelles ont été collectées de manière abusive. Donc ça, ce sont vraiment des attaques. Ils étaient très surpris de voir que certaines attaques, et d'ailleurs on n'entend pas parler dans les institutions publiques, et même les privés, et il y a également beaucoup d'attaques, mais on n'entend pas beaucoup. C'est peut-être pour éviter les mauvaises publicités, etc. Alors maintenant, je vais poser la question de Steph également sur l'avenir et les perspectives. quel type de compétences numériques il y a, où doit-on mettre en place, je vais montrer en même temps si et voilà. Il y a un petit site, si on veut tester ces compétences numériques, il y a un petit site, les Français, ils ont fait un site qui s'appelle pix.fr, et donc on peut s'inscrire et on peut tester ces compétences numériques. Alors peut-être que comment définir ces compétences numériques il y a nécessaires qui peuvent être transversales à toutes les filières, si je prends l'exemple de la faculté, quelles sont ces compétences? Est-ce qu'on a un référentiel de ces compétences pour pouvoir développer des formations dessus? Voilà, c'est à vous.
Alors, je voudrais juste mentionner que dans l'avenir, la sécurité doit être, sorry, I will speak English, it's a culture, it should be a culture, and we should teach our youth cybersecurity and awareness about the digital world from a young age. In the past, when your son or daughter they are at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. in their room, you think they are safe, right? But not today. Right? So we have to educate our kids how to protect themselves when they are using or interacting with the digital world. So we have to make courses about cybersecurity, mainly is not to share private information. Because I'll give you an example. To commit a crime, like to rob a bank, it needs more energy and more planning than hacking a website. Maybe you can click on a tool that you download from the internet and you can commit a cyber crime, which means the effort and the energy and also the courage to do a physical crime is much more than doing a cyber crime. And you can download tools from the dark web to perform any types of attacks. And this is what will happen. Our kids, especially if they want to show to other their friends or their peers that they're able to do things, they might take the initiative and perform more cyber crime. So we have to be careful because in Canada, at the age of 12, the kids are responsible for their acts. Of course, now, at the age of 5, they can use computers, they can use many tools. So imagine at the age of 12, 13, 14, which they have access to plenty of resources to commit crimes and, of course, to perform attacks on websites or to steal money or to do any illegal activity. So the point is, they are in their room. Do you know what they are doing? No. So that's why we have to talk to our kids. We have to inform them. We have to teach them, and we have to give them examples. And to keep talking to our kids because they should know very well. I know many parents, maybe they are not the generation of the digital world. Now it's moving. We have more awareness about the risks of using the digital world, internet, social networks, and so on. But we have to be careful, and we have, as I mentioned, to keep talking and make it like a culture. This happens, this person does attack, and to teach them not to share information because it's very easy to share information, to do the financial information of credit cards, passwords, and so on, especially with gaming. So there are interactive games that they play. So we, for the future, the cybersecurity should become a culture, and we should teach it at even very young classes, like grade 1 or grade 2, and to educate. So they grow with this spirit that there is something danger in the digital world. And of course, if we teach them, again the same, if there is flu and you isolate your kids, you think they are safe. But with the digital world, even if you isolate them, they have access to the digital world that they can be addressed. So it should not be, it should be something we discuss every day. Teach them the right concepts to, and the right reflexes to protect themselves when they are using the digital world. And of course the trust, because we don't know who is the person who are speaking. And as I mentioned, now most of the online games, they are played in groups. So you don't know who is the other party who you are playing. You are sharing information, you are spending hours and hours, days, and then you want to develop a relationship with the person who wants to develop. And this is one of the risks of using digital world. Again, committing crimes in the digital world doesn't need that much between courage to perform an attack. So it's going to be just a matter of clicking on a software or a tool and committing that. And I'm not sure it was which age of youth they are responsible for their acts. But what I'm sure of in Canada, 12 years old, they get be held responsible for any crime. So that's what I see for our future is to make it a culture and to be the way like you teach them how to cross the road. We have to teach our kids how to basically protect themselves when they are using the digital world, and to teach them that through stealing information, identity theft, also social engineering. Social engineering, you can collect information without any tools, just by talking, asking. For example, you use old systems to break a password or to change your password. They ask you what is your favorite meal or what is your first car information. Today, colleague Bordier. Change your password. So you tell me. So it's social engineering to make them aware that there is something that we can learn information just by talking with information. It should be courses, even low grades to read or to teach them the dangers using the digital.
C'est consulté un peu vers la fin pour compléter juste avec un switch to live in the digital world or we need to learn basic skills. This is very important. And how to use a computer, go on the internet, send emails and use everyday activities. They are these are very important for work and school and getting information. And they will also need to understand the basic or cybersecurity and good online behavior. Exactly how to see online dangers, protect our data, or personal data, and know if information is true or false. This is very, very important. And also some jobs we need advanced skills or data skills. This is the point, like coding, like working with data, or knowing about AI or blockchain. People must be also ready to learn new things. This is very important in our life all the time to keep up with the new technologies. In addition, citizens we need to improve our digital communication skills. This means knowing how to use social media, video calls, and online
compléter un petit peu, l'idée c'est, quand on veut définir une formation, on parle en général de ce qu'on appelle un référentiel de compétences. Et à partir de ce référentiel de compétences, là, on définit un référentiel de formation. Les Européens, ils ont défini un framework qui s'appelle DigiCom pour tout ce qui est compétences numériques et IA. Pour savoir qu'est-ce qu'il faut mettre quand on parle d'une compétence dans ce domaine. Et si on veut faire une formation transversale, qu'est-ce qu'on doit mettre dedans? Ce n'est pas seulement mettre une norme, etc. Et justement, ce référentiel-là, apparemment, le Maroc est en train de travailler dessus, le ministère, pour définir ce référentiel de compétences numériques et IA. Et par la suite, une fois défini ça, et la partie de compétences de vie, voilà, ils vont définir, peut-être instantier ça en termes de formation. Pour l'instant, ce référentiel au Maroc, on ne l'a pas. Par contre, les Européens, ils ont un DigiCom qui part la version même 2.0 qui existe en ce moment. Donc si on a ça, on peut mettre une formation transversale sur ce domaine.
So the next question from Wakil and Mr. Hafiz. Most people use now IT, the items, like ChatGPT, etc. So I know as computer science, I know that these two are the collective data. Because people share the documents, private documents, professional documents, etc. So I know that the tools extract information. They are smart. They can extract more than all the applications, that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram extract information. But the AI tools extract more. They are smart. So, do you expect that there's still a risk for us, people? How to avoid that?
Okay, your question is regarding you using the documentation for scanning, like scan the documents when you download, and there is a AI tools how said that documents are, you are sharing information definitely when you generating some document and you put some. Yeah. Again, that's the good question. Like we are nowadays, we put everything when we need any suggestion, we put that down the ChatGPT. We put information on ChatGPT. So definitely, what is ChatGPT? That's the AI engine. Same like in the Google, you have the Gemini. Yeah, there are multiple. Even when I was visited in the conference in JETEX Europe. So there is like even they build up everywhere. They build up the tools on the basis of AI. So definitely that's again a very very big threat for us. We are sharing our personal information on the document. We are definitely when you are sharing something, you upload on the cloud, scanning the tool. So they first scan, read the data and save the data. You don't know how much secure that tool is. So definitely again for that part is also the trust. You need to see what tool is safe and not using your information. Even you can see on before the WhatsApp application, you can install, they not have the secure data. So later stages, they start giving message, your information, which communication are not secure. Before they can use Facebook, is like in US, they use Facebook data for the campaign in the Trump, So that's again threads involved in that part, and you, for example, one tool which we remember we use in the Abu Dhabi, that's the tool is the licensing cost is $6,000. So we install that tool in the network, and that tool, what they do, what they extract the information during your working 9 to 5, 9 to 6, they will do the working, and they can extract all the information and collecting behavior of each employee who using that computer. So they extract the information on the basis of your daily routine work. If you do anything else related, for example, you are a developer and you are doing the code, you need to submit the code on your data center, and that's your daily job. So you are trying to upload that code into the Google Drive, you pass through the Skype to somewhere, or you try to send the code over to us. So that will immediately inform to them and give the alert. So again, that is the secure tool, that's related to, that's user friendly for the management side. So again, whatever tool you are using, there are many free sources are available. And even in ChatGPT and Gemini, behind the scene, they are also getting your information, they save the information. Sometimes you are just click on yes, without the knowledge and reading the message, they are taking your consent. So definitely there is now many privacy, we even show on our website privacy policies, but your data again compromised, you receive the promotional emails. Even sometimes you think that it can be happen, you see, you write on your computer something, and when you open the browser and the ads come in, and you feel something in your mind, but that's showing in the app. What is that? Yeah. Yeah, that's a tool you, when you install any application on your mobile phone, you say allow. So that's the thing.
Easier générative, Gemini, ChatGPT, Cloud, c'est celle qui collecte le moins de données personnelles de cette histoire. C'est vrai que c'est celle dans laquelle c'est celle qui est réellement, on peut dire, trust.
En fait, c'est très difficile à répondre à cette question. Pourquoi? Parce qu'en fait, ce type d'applications sont utilisées comme des black box. Donc, c'est des boîtes noires. Donc, on ne sait pas. Parce qu'en fait, pour nous, c'est comme on donne des entrées et on prend des sorties. Comment ils sont déployés, comment ils sont implémentés. Voilà. Donc, ça, c'est très compliqué à savoir. Donc là, en fait, toujours pour avoir des choses pour. Je reviens vers l'espoir de faire confiance à l'application qui est devenue,
protect the privacy of the personal data, we can use homomorphic encryption, which is the future of processing of the data in order to encrypt all your private information, and you are safe to send it to the cloud, to the backend. It can be stored there, it can be processed without the fear that your data is lost. And this can work also with neural networks and more with ChatGPT. So the data, when it leaves your computer or your mobile phone, it's always encrypted. So you have the decryption key and no entity can access the plain data. So you don't worry anymore about the privacy of your data. And this is what the future of secure and privacy processing is going to.
Sinon, d'abord, je tiens à remercier tous les intervenants, Baron, Chimacé et notre collègue. Je remercie encore une fois Madame Fouzia Omari et je n'oublie pas de remercier les organisateurs, Salima et Valérie. Donc, merci énormément. Voilà.
So thank you for the rich insights. So now I open the floor for questions, if there are any. Or I will start for a question. Well, we know that the young population are not aware of the risk they face on such. They are experiencing child abuse victims, phishing. We have children who committed suicide because of cyberbullying. So do you think that cybersecurity training should be mandatory at schools like health and civic education? That's my first question. Second one is how can parents educators help you or guide young people in using the internet responsibly and safely? I'm just repeating the question. And the second question was how can parents and educators help the young people to use internet responsibly?
Okay, again, that the first question is the risk assessment about still how we can educate people and we need to tell them the risk. Again, for that part also, even the threat always alive even you give training to the people and even parents give the training to the child. So again, there is a bad and good thing. So there will be the risk involved in all the part. Whenever in every business, in every even you get any education, so risk factor is involved in everywhere. So definitely we need to be maximize and reduce our risk factors, and we need to do maximum trainings in the like we can do some core subjects like if we are doing, we prepare our engineers in the university, so we need to be add the courses in the cyber security so that tomorrow when they going to develop the application, so they know what threats involved in the world. So at the moment, what we are also facing in with our development teams, they don't know how they need to control their cyber attacks. So definitely for that part, we need to be from start. There is, I explained yesterday also, three factors involved. One is the more important factor is the end user, because that audience is too much, and according to your question, that the more educational part is involved in that part. So definitely for that, again, you prepare the courses regarding interesting for the child, for the young youth, and also we need to be add in the curriculum. So some part of like in the computer science subject, we need to be chapters, same like we need to in other stuff, so that when they study from the childhood, they know where we, again, there is risk involved. But at the moment, if you understand today in your market, 10 to 15% know about cyber attacks and these kind. If you done now, so I think in 2030, so at least 50 to 60% people of your population, who the generation, they know about these things. So that's it.
بغيت نزيد حاجه في الحقيقه. نهضروا مع وليداتكم باش تقولوا لهم يعني ما تخليش انت نهضروا معاهم ما يعرفوش واش تسمى راسهم كل دابا لا هي الديجيتال النيميري انا ما كتكونش عارف انت معاهم كيهضر ولا بنتك معاهم كتهضر دونك تواصلوا معاهم وخليهم يقولوا لكم شنو كيديروا سورتو يعني لي تينيجرز لي زونفون un très bas âge qui veut l'ordinateur, avec les jeux, avec les menaces, des moyens de communication. وما كاينش ذاك الحاجز المكاني اللي كاين إلا نضحكوا بها التوليدات والأشهر ديالهم مع التلفزيون traditionnellement sont يعني سيكوليزيون دابا مع التليفون مع الأورديناتور دونك يسون كونيكتي دونك ما يكونش ذاك الحاجز بينكم وبين الناس تهضروا معاهم تواصلوا معاهم وخليهم يعاودوا لكم كل شيء يعاودوا لهم يعاودوا لكم انا با بروبليم نلعبوا دي جو ان لين مع الناس يجي يعاود شنو كاين.
Ils sont en train de mettre en place ça. Ils veulent interdire complètement. Je ne sais pas s'ils arriveront, mais en tout cas, c'est ça l'idée.
واحد الحاجه على المستوى الليغال دونك باسكو plusieurs personnes ils font confiance à ChatGPT, même les professeurs. Alors ChatGPT c'est un outil AI bien sûr, mais outil AI qui est très intelligent. Ok, donc il collecte même texte il collecte des informations plus que vous donnez, plus que vous estimez. Oui, j'ai un exemple, il collecte des informations plus que vous pensez. Donc, après, le contexte, il associe des informations, il peut associer un doigt qui se passe dans le bidon, il y a un profil. المشكلة حنا كنحطو لي كيستيون بيتر بريفي نون بريفي بروفيسيونيل هو تيكون عندك فكرة. هذا هو الريسك on fait confiance. La plupart des gens vous avez des ChatGPT ou des GPT ou des outils. Donc c'est pour ça que j'ai posé la question كاين شنو كيديروا. وراه même vous trouvez شي حاجة كتلقى ريكومونداسيون ديال الحاجة اللي كتهضر عليها. Donc ils vous entendent, ils vous voient. Donc je sais pas la solution c'est quoi, fois, mais il faut faire attention. Voilà.
Est-ce que tu m'as entendu? Qu'est-ce que tu vois là ici maintenant? Est-ce que tu peux répéter ce que tu as dit? Qu'est-ce que tu vois là ici?
I have a question, please. I completely agree with you about education and awareness. It's very important. Knowledge is the cup, as already told Mr. Al-Watobi in the morning. But I have a little problem about trust. For example, in business online, one experience for me in the online relations. I have problem, but when I want to resolve this problem, I can't find the way how I can claim my right. And after this operation, always I'm trying to use the technologies or use opinions of operation online. Essentially, it is a national operation. What we can do and what is the we haven't this in our education. We haven't addressed this problem. The law and how we can find distractors that can be found find our rights. In English, but alors, c'était clair ou D'accord. Alors, le problème en fait là, c'est que quand on est, par exemple, quand on a un problème sur Internet, on ne sait plus où est-ce qu'on va aller pour avoir notre droit. Comment peut-on avoir notre droit? Et même si on est avec un avocat international, même lui-même, il n'arrive pas à savoir c'est quoi la procédure qu'il faut suivre pour avoir
and I was scammed with my research team. My business developer. He made us work for many months without pay. So scammers under the law in Morocco, they work with someone in Japan, in China, in the USA. And how much it's going to cost you? You know how much an international lawyer costs? $2,000 per hour. How much you have to do? So we have to be careful. Exactement. Il y a une juridiction des pays, il y a beaucoup de problèmes. Ou même le Canada, j'ai rien pu faire. Beaucoup de raisons sans rentrer dans les détails. C'est moins cher de ne pas poursuivre. L'avocat, il vous dit, vous mettez cette somme d'argent, et rien ne va.
Effet, il prend énormément on peut porter plainte et créer le CNDP. Si par exemple, on constate que la banque, votre banque a donné des informations sur vous à notre organisme, on peut porter plainte pour créer le CNDP. Maintenant, quand on regarde un petit peu l'Europe, il met beaucoup de règles, l'éthique de l'IA, la LGBT qui pour la protection des données personnelles, mais la Chine et les Américains ne font rien. Donc ça veut dire qu'on peut-être que ça bloque un petit peu au niveau des start-up, etc., au niveau de l'Europe, mais les Américains et les Chinois, les mains d'eau sont ciel, les mains d'eau, aucun problème. Donc tu vois, DeepSeek par exemple, apparemment ils collectent énormément de données. TikTok, la même chose. Mais c'est vrai que les lois, d'ailleurs l'IA, apparemment la ministre est en train de mettre l'éthique de l'IA, etc., les assises idéales, les assises des autres. Le but d'Irlande, c'est de mettre un peu l'éthique de l'IA, même au niveau du développement du code. C'est-à-dire, lorsqu'on développe du code de l'IA, de mettre un peu d'éthique dedans. Mais le Maroc, devant un CIADA, c'est énorme. Comme la souveraineté numérique, par exemple, moi je considère qu'avoir un data center au Maroc ne veut rien dire. C'est pas parce qu'on l'a qu'on a la souveraineté numérique. Si on n'a pas, on peut avoir un data center à Dakhla ou à Rabat, on peut rentrer dedans ou de l'extérieur. Par contre, développer des compétences qui permettent de gérer ces data centers, des ingénieurs de sécurité, etc., ça c'est important. Mais que le data center soit localisé au Maroc ou ailleurs, ça ne change, l'espace ne change rien pour la sécurité. Par contre, les compétences, on arrive à développer des compétences, des gens compétents pour sécuriser tout ça. Et le problème des lois est posé dans le mondial. La politique qu'il y a, le numérique, tout ça, et l'Europe, justement, ce cadre dont j'ai parlé des ICOM, ils sont en train de mettre déjà quelle formation on peut mettre en place quand on parle de compétences numériques, de compétences en IA, exactement quoi pour tout le monde. Or, tout le monde doit avoir compétences. Maintenant, la fracture, c'est les gens qui connaissent l'IA générative et ceux qui ne connaissent pas l'IA générative. Et donc, il faudrait mettre tout le monde même au niveau des universités. Donc, les lois, c'est un vrai problème.
Comment ils font pour comparer un avocat ou tu as les évacuer. Voilà, qu'est-ce que vous allez faire rentrer, ce que vous allez dépenser sur l'avocat.
Je vais donner une autre expérience en fait, que j'ai vécue moi personnellement. C'est bon? Vous m'entendez? Hein? Ah, bon. Donc en fait, j'ai eu en fait une expérience avec une banque. Pas ici au Maroc. C'est qu'en fait, chez moi, tranquille, je reçois un SMS qu'il faut en fait saisir le code pour valider l'opération. Sachant que c'est pas moi. D'un seul coup, je me suis connecté vers mon compte bancaire. Je trouve que l'opération a eu lieu. Un virement international. Donc, je me suis dit, comment? Oui, bien sûr. Mais j'ai pas fait d'action. Donc, je me suis dit, comment ça se passe? Parce qu'il faut le code. Donc, quand j'ai un incident, je suis tranquille. Qu'est-ce qu'ils ont fait? Ils ont d'abord attaqué le compte bancaire. Et la deuxième chose, qu'est-ce qu'ils ont fait? Ils ont parti et ils ont commandé une nouvelle puce de mon numéro de téléphone pour recevoir le code. Vous avez compris? Donc, même pas 2 minutes pour se connecter vers mon bon, moi je vais, en fait, c'est ça, je l'ai dit, c'est moi qui l'ai vécu personnellement. Donc je ne me suis pas arrêté ici, c'est-à-dire que j'ai déposé plainte, j'ai réclamé au niveau de la banque, j'ai déposé plainte. La banque, pour qu'on soit clair, ça c'est à l'échelle internationale. La banque, les banques, ils ont toujours raison. Ils ne vont jamais dire qu'on a un problème. Non, mais le problème, parce que moi, je suis parti loin, j'ai pris un avocat. Le problème, c'est quoi? Comment moi, je prouve que c'est pas moi? C'est ça. Et il faut que je prouve que c'est pas moi. Donc, c'était ça le problème. Donc, c'est très difficile. Donc, bon, bien sûr, heureusement, ils m'ont fait remonter l'argent, mais via une assurance que eux, en fait, ils l'ont. Voilà. Mais, moi, en fait, pour que je gagne en fait, cette plainte, il faut que je prouve que c'est pas moi. Et donc là, c'est pas facile à prouver que c'était pas moi, donc c'est compliqué.
J'ai vécu la même expérience, c'était en 2009. J'étais encore étudiante et j'ai trouvé que mon compte bancaire manquait de 200 €. Quand je suis partie dans la banque, on m'avait dit non, j'ai des droits, mais finalement, quand ils ont cherché où la transaction était faite, c'était au Portugal, dans une station. Et moi, je ne suis jamais partie au Portugal. Oui, exactement. Mais je suis ici en France, j'étudie ici, je ne suis jamais partie au Portugal. Et on m'a remboursé le €. Je ne sais pas, aucune idée. Je n'ai aucune idée. Pourtant, je n'avais même pas permis. Aucune idée. Et pourtant, mon compte bancaire est encore nouveau, de quelques mois. Je vais les éléments bancaires en septembre. En fait, personne.
Thank you very much. So we all agree that education and awareness in digital trust, there is a lack of initiative in that aspect. But the few initiatives that are there focuses on risks that are prompted, like they focus on educating people about not interacting with phishing emails, with the scammers, with weirdos on the internet. But nobody tried to, or few people try to address the problematic that we're living now with the proliferation of social media and this tendency, especially among teenagers and youngsters, to overshare their personal life, their pictures, and everything, like personal data, on the internet in a candid way without even being prompted. So this information can be used, can be gathered, analyzed, and used to do a lot of cyber criminal activities. And as I mentioned, so it becomes a tendency. People are even making money out of doing vlogs, sharing their daily life, their routines. How do you think we can break this tendency? How we can make people more aware about they should moderate their usage of social media and the information they share with others? Thank you.
Yes, that's a good question. You mentioned, you are sharing all the data on the social media. So definitely these factors are still on some applications, like day by day the securities threats increasing. So they are like the Facebook, like Instagram, Twitter, and they are working on their like data privacy factor. So now you can more secure than before. So definitely now the accessibility of your data is secure because the data travel over the cloud is encrypted. They are using their very high level encryptions and their keys and everything. So the data is not be compromised now on the popular platform. Definitely that data will be compromised when your account will be hacked during the some like attacker use some different technologies to attack on your account, change your password. It's a very common problem on the Facebook, in Instagram, your account hacked, and so definitely that's you need to be. They give some authentication factors. So definitely they use like your mobile number, your email address, so your passwords, your secret questions, and your number not be the common things which you use on all the platforms. So definitely sometimes some subscription you're doing and you use the same password so on the other platform, and that will be you use on your all imported platforms. So that data will be compromised, but it's day by day. That's again that the digital world, the data is more secure and not shareable because there are many regulations about the data that taken seriously in the world now. Even you can GDPR rules are involved. You can't even send with the contents of any other person email. You cannot send the promotion email without the asking on the website. You will receive the promotional data or not. So you can claim even in UK, in US market, they are doing the security in that level of seriousness. So definitely you somewhere when your data is compromised, so it can be possibility you share some information on some platform. So that's the answer of your question.
Okay, I will add a new question because we find that some applications like Facebook or ChatGPT or anywhere that respects the rules in, for example, European countries, American countries, but in other countries, these rules are not applicable. Yeah. Yeah.
That's again, they if you build up the account in the US and UK, the sign up form is same for everyone. Okay. So, but the priority if I am using my phone, someone take my phone for 1 minute, he can access my everything. Just install any single application. So that's we not bother who is using our phone. So that's the problem. That's the problem. So again, the sign up form is same for everyone. You need to give the number. You need to give the email. So somewhere some information is compromised. That's why the attacker attack your system. So if there is no compromise, definitely there is less chances of attack.
Thank you, Mr. Habib. Important decision.
Thank you so much.
che cosa ne pensi? No?